It's break time. Welcome to our fourth episode. It's your co-host, Rissy Ray,
Hey, hey.
and yours truly, Kaninja. Today we'll be talking about relationships during the pandemic, or hashtag 2020 is a mood.
Yes, it absolutely is. It's like but to put it out there before we start, because this is going to be deep, right? We're about to be super deep, right, Kaninja? We're about to be so deep. So I made sure I made me a drink so I could get ready. So it's like a mixture of like two drinks. It's a mixture of a Tom Collins and a Bacardi sour.
Ooh.
And so basically, I'm using Bacardi rum, mango flavored, with a sweet and sour mix, topped off with a club soda. So we're ready. We're ready.
This is amazing. And just for all you guys know, if you need a bartender for anything, hit up Rissy Ray. She makes
Yes,
bomb drinks.
yes. I'm getting creative. But yeah, I think it's like it's very difficult if someone was like, "Hey, 2020 is my year, and I want to go and step out and start dating, meet new people and stuff." This is not it. Like this is not. I mean, well, let me say this: January and February, yes, absolutely, you could have done all that.
And maybe 2 days of March.
Yeah, 2 days, and that was it. Like it. Oh goodness gracious! And for some people who enjoy being out, like that's kind of their thing. Of like, if you're a gym people, and you're like, hey, we go to the gym together. That's how we connect. That's how we spend time. Shut down. Obviously, everyone was able to figure out some type of alternative, but it kind of places like a damper on like speed dating if that was your thing or whichever. And that's just I'm coming from the perspective of someone who wanted to learn new people and date. Now, what about you, Kaninja? Like you're established.
So yeah, I'm actually engaged, and I got engaged during the pandemic. So that was exciting. So maybe it's a mood, but also not mood, because for me it was pretty exciting, but it forced me to learn my fiance very quickly, especially when he started moving in and being quarantined and learning him and all of his quirks. So I learned very fast who my fiance is, and without the normal distraction of going out to work or going out to the grocery store almost every day, we definitely spent a lot of time together. Him coming home, having new practices, new, I guess, in quote, traditions together
Hmm.
on what works for us and what doesn't work for us. Again, we learned quick. And from what I've been hearing throughout this entire year, there's a lot of people out there that weren't as fortunate as I was while being in a relationship. Apparently, what I've heard that, divorce rates went up. And on a darker note, domestic violence crimes went up. So don't do that. You married your person, you're with your person for a reason. Just keep remembering that. So that's kind of where I was. So I wasn't on the dating life like you were, Rissy. So I'm sure with the pandemic and quarantine and how everything was closed down for a while, that could have been a lot harder for you and other people to really meet others.
First of all, yes, like these masks, I love it. All the benefits, like we previous stated, and we already know common knowledge. I don't know if you have bad teeth. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So it's like like if you have bad teeth or you're missing teeth or
Right.
no teeth. Like those are just simple things where you hear like a good voice or whichever, and it's like, so I see your eyes.
You may have
Um,
to have them send a picture or do a video chat without the mask first before you meet in person.
oh, that's so scandalous now. Like, let me see you without your mask.
Ooh. Can you send a picture without your
Without your
mask?
mask.
What mask are you wearing?
That what was that the special kind? What was the special kind?
Oh,
Um,
the N95?
the N95s.
Ooh, you got that money.
So it's like it's different because it's like you think of all your hot spots. You've been told like what church, the gym, just going to the grocery store. Give me another, just being out and about.
Right.
In general, where you want to meet new people, different people, or do different mixers and stuff like that. And it was like, no, especially you're like, no, this is there's no love. Like everyone came out who wasn't already in a situation or about to be in one. It's like, no, shutting down everything, the store, everything, the shop is closed. Like no.
No more love.
No more love. No more love. And so you're thinking, okay, all right. So what do you do? And a lot of my, single or looking friends were like, okay, what about online dating?
Mm.
And I have met a couple people who married someone they met online.
Mm.
Yeah, it was there's just so many. First of all, let me say this. There's so many. Like I thought I knew it with which one was it? I know I mentioned to this earlier, like eHarmony. Like eHarmony always has a special during the holidays, like some type of holiday weekend or something. Whichever. Match.com. You know one. I mean, I'm not saying you use one.
I was like, my fiance listens to these.
Not that you use it, but I know you like these the names of them and everything.
Yeah, like Plenty of Fish, or was it Okay Cupid or something like that?
Yes. So it's like it's a plethora of them, and you're just like, okay, so which one? So now we're thinking, okay, like for example, if I go to a religious organization or whatever, let's say I go there, I know on the base level we have the same viewpoint religiously.
Mm-hmm.
If I met you there, if I see you at the gym, and just using that as an example, that hey, on some type of level, you're health conscious.
Mm-hmm.
So we're already coming in knowing that if I met you here, then we kind of have an understanding of okay. Or if I meet you at work, I know that at some level we have similar work, things like that, career, education background, things like that.
Exactly, like something in common.
Something in common. But when you online date, is you don't know. Oh,
yeah.
you don't know, and you really don't know. And I was like, okay. So I tried some. So if you see my face in all of them, hey, I'm telling you right now, I did it. So I did it, and it was the most weird out experience I ever had.
Really?
Super. I was super uncomfortable because it ranged. So, for example, I also have a Snapchat, and some of the descriptions, I'm tired of writing, right? So I'm like, just follow me on Snapchat or follow me on Instagram, whatever.
Right.
And so, in the midst of all that, I feel like the Snapchat is more current, all that good stuff. And it's like the responses are weird. It's like some of them are like, "Hey, come over here." Like, hey, here's my address. Come over, huh?
Kind of like the Tinder app.
That's what I was thinking of. Yes.
Okay. So they use those other dating apps for like Tinder. It's like that's not what we're looking for here.
Right, and I'm like, okay, and some will only want to meet at night, and I'm like, okay, I have a bedtime. They're like, oh, who has a bedtime? I'm like, me.
No judgment.
I'm not gonna beat you at 1-2 o'clock. Like, what happens, Kaninja, at 1 or 2 o'clock when you meet a complete stranger?
That's some sketchy shit right there,
dude. And I was like, oh my gosh. But at that time, obviously, with everything going on, it's like that was the only avenue. Like some people, even their own description was like, "Hey, I'm only on here because of the pandemic and I'm quarantined.
Come love me.
Come love me." And then you put a response up or you message him, you don't get an answer back, and then you do the same. I'm just like, this.
Yeah, it's like it sounds like it's very awkward and clunky.
Just a little bit. Just a little
Mm-hmm.
bit. And there's always the ugly ones that want to go and be consistent with you. I'm like, no, no, no. This is no. Give you a whole thing, and I love it. Let me tell you, not that I don't love it. But I'm like, no. Well, oh my goodness, but you answer all my texts and my calls.
Now, mind you, everyone, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. I want everyone to remember that.
My
But
bad.
go on, Rissy.
Weird. So I took a break from it.
Okay.
Like I deleted the apps and everything. And I think I deleted right around the time where things were starting to open up, where you are able, like obviously restrictions, of course, but it was starting to open up where I was able to meet people, reconnect with some people
Hmm.
that I may have hung out in the past to where I am now. And I was just like, that was just, it was so difficult. And I like to be at home,
Hmm.
right? So I'm a homebody, but I don't want our first interaction, encounter, date be at my house. Like what?
Right. Right.
I live
Exactly.
here. Like no, because I I can't up and leave. Like I can't change. I can change my hair, I can change my clothes, but I can't change my address. So I'm like, okay. So I'm thinking like, okay, I want to go to the movies. I want to see you in a different environment. Can't do it.
Right. Without them knowing where your home is, at least in the beginning.
Right.
I'd be like,
So
meet me in this park at 2 o'clock in the morning by the lamp, the
by the
street
lamb.
light, the street light.
Yes, by fifth and third. By fifth and third.
It's like someone's gonna be selling some drugs. I don't know.
It's super
Bring someone.
sketchy. But I will say this: my sister in law, she, when we were just talking in general about a couple of things, she mentioned like how sometimes like with like you can be creative,
Hmm.
right? So you can do a lot of online kind of dates type
Okay.
deal.
Like a Zoom call kind of thing?
Zoom call, like online gameplay, like playing something to the effect of like possibly like like I don't want to say Minecraft.
Like
It's
Animal
not that.
Crossing.
Animal Crossing. It was like more of like Battleship.
Okay.
And it's online Battleship. It's them on the other, still online camera, and it's like whenever they hit a ship or a property or whatever, you answer a question, obviously a dating question, so it wouldn't be so awkward.
Okay.
So you technically you do have your quote unquote first date virtual, but it's like a cute twist to it.
Because you show something that's a little bit more in common, like a game. If you guys enjoy it,
Yeah.
you have similarity. That's interesting.
I thought that was the most cutest thing in the world. Okay, I was like that because it was a twist versus at the time again that it was more of like send me your address or what's your address. It's like I really prefer an activity, sir. I would prefer to like go walking, and then I'm like, wait, I don't want to go walking on no trail. I don't know you, so okay, okay.
Dense forest, no way.
And then I was like, Starbucks. I'm like, Starbucks. And I'm like, but those are the options at the time, like
Right.
Starbucks.
Yeah.
It's like
Whatever was open, mall parking lot, you know.
now that does sound like a transaction. You're like, we'll just meet at the mall parking lot and just talk through the car door or whatever.
Right.
But
Exactly.
I thought that was a very innovative idea.
It is.
Where I guess where everyone says like, hey, when certain things happen, how do you go to just improve? And I
Hmm.
thought that was nice. Or because I learned from the makers of Catfish, video chat.
Yes.
So,
So important.
that is like one of my favorite shows on MTV, and it's always something different. It's never the same. It's never the same thing twice. Never.
See, I've
Maybe.
never watched it. Yeah. Yeah. Never watched it. I just heard of the horror deal of catfishing. Now, again, mind you, I've been with the same person for multiple years.
Oh yeah.
Never really had to get into that situation, but I've never watched the show. I've heard of the show.
Let me tell you about this show real quick, okay? For
Okay.
everyone who has not, all of our breakthrough buddies who have not, who heard the concept but have not watched the show. First of all, so it starts off with someone like it's like MySpace or Facebook or Instagram, Twitter, something like that. And so somebody reaches out to someone. Sometimes it depends on who it is. But they talk. They always text. They always do messages like that. But they never video chat.
Mm,
And okay, so obviously some people are like, okay, maybe they're shy. That's not that day and age right now.
right.
But at the time, they're like, I don't want to video chat. And so that happens. Okay. So what happens afterwards is you try to meet up with them. Some people get a plane ticket out there. Some people drive out there, whatever. And they go ghost. They always go ghost at some point,
Oh,
either at the beginning of the situation or on and off in the situation, but they go ghost where they were supposed to meet up and then they don't hear from them and then they reappear. So that is when they reach out to the show. I don't know what the analytics, what the criteria is to be, because again, no show is the same thing twice.
right.
And no show is ever the same thing twice.
I'm so invested right now.
It's amazing, but it gives a great light on online dating because
Yeah.
they never want to video chat or you can talk to them on the phone. Someone do talk on the phone, but sometimes it's suspect. Okay, and you never know who you're really talking to.
Right.
And the team comes out, they do their own little mini investigation. They try to have some type of meetup. They meet up, and either they are who they say they are, which does happen.
Okay.
And their reason is kind of interesting. They'll say like, "Well, I'm not like." It's an interesting concept of reason why they say, "Hey, I didn't video chat because of X, Y, Z." But majority of the time, it's either like some ex best friend or a friend that was trying to keep them in check or something weird, or
What?
or somebody who's just not connected to them in that interface, but it'd be a wholly different person, like a whole totally
Wow.
different person. So nobody wants that, right? So that's why I put my Snapchat on mine, because I'm like, Snapchat is like present me.
Mhm.
But what throws me off is when they're like, "Hey, can I get another picture?" I'm like, "No."
Yeah. Like you got what you need. You already have a picture.
Right. So you're just like, okay. But yeah, that's my little 30, not really 30 seconds, but that's my 30 seconds of catfish. Nobody wants to be catfish
No.
because because again, you're not physically meeting someone. So you are basically going through their pictures, and sometimes their angles might be kind of interesting. You're like, oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Like the
Or
typical angle at the top, and you really don't know
what
what
you're
they look
working
like.
with. Right, you don't know what they're working with. And then there's no other pictures. Like it's not like, for example, with my Facebook, for example, I have group pictures, I have single pictures, I have a mixture so you can get an idea of who I is, okay?
Right.
But if I take the same angle every time I take a picture, you're like, so what's up? Now I will tell you, I do believe I'm 5'4". Okay, so let's just put this out there. Now, so,
I mean, I'm just gonna let you have it today.
thank you. So there may be, if I do choose to meet someone in person, they might be like, "Oh, you're a little bit shorter than I expected." I'm like, "Hey, what are you talking about?"
You don't look 5'4".
So I guess with online dating, it's like you don't know what persona someone has as well.
Right.
But
Exactly.
so it's like you don't know what kind of persona they have and things like that. And if you are in a present situation, for example, Kaninja, you are.
Mhm.
Let's say not now. I know you guys have been together for a while, so I'm not saying like the long term. We're talking about like this is supposed to be our year. This is the year
Mhm.
that you're gonna meet my mama or something,
Mhm.
right? Well, that can't happen right now.
Right.
Or if you do choose, you have to be mindful on who's high risk, who's not, how do you conduct. when you are still trying to do these milestones in your relationship.
Yep.
And I
Yep.
do feel like that with our present conditions, I feel like it has changed some relationships like milestone, or at least the trajectory of where
Yeah.
they were going.
Definitely. I mean, for us, I mean, we had our anniversary pass like a few months ago, and we we really didn't have much of a plan. We usually plan to go somewhere. So we this time around we felt like we were sneaking to go somewhere, which is one way, but usually we spend a weekend. And this time around we only spent a day because of the restrictions. And that's like a small thing, right? But I mean, like I said, like, I got engaged this year. We were supposed to have an engagement party, to celebrate that, but we won't be able to until, restrictions lighten up even more. So that's been pushed out to next year. I can't even imagine when people who were supposed to get married this year. So I know a few people, they were scheduled to get married and things have completely changed. Either it's been pushed out, like they had to move it to next year, or they just had to downsize the wedding, because of it. And that's really hard on them because they're just like, we wanted to celebrate with all of our family and traveling and so on and so forth. But now we have to push out another year to get married. Luckily, there's some venues that are allowing, they're not charging you extra to push that out, which is good. But that puts a strain on a relationship and it makes people pretty sad on that end. On people who are in, I guess you could say, established relationships are really making that next step, that next milestone of, hey, like it's our anniversary, or we're getting engaged, or we're getting married, or, like you said, or people who have babies, people who are able to get into the delivery room is very minimal. I think they're only allowing one person in a delivery room or
Oh,
even just in the
really?
hospital. Yeah. So the people that can visit people at the hospital has also been diminished. And it kinda takes away that it's, like, still exciting, but it takes away that excitement.
Right,
So then
absolutely.
so you're just kinda thinking, "I wanna celebrate with the people I love, but I have to choose which person that I wanna, have this in." So, of course, they're gonna choose the husband, the father, or whoever, or, their mother, or whoever, but they also want other people that they love to be there to support them, especially when they're having babies, or just that high risk of if they are pregnant and they're going to get checkups. You have to go through a whole nother situation that way too. So uh, it's it's hard because my mom keeps on saying, "Well, if we have an engagement party," and I look her dead in the face, and I'm like, "We are having an engagement party." It's like, if we have to have an engagement party one weekend and the bridal shower the next, that's what we're gonna do.
Oh Lord, you ready?
And she's like, "What about the people?" And I'm like, "What about me? What about my happiness?"
Oh, that's lovely, Kaninja. You're just like my happiness. Hey, you guys knew that if conditions were better, everybody would be here. But guess what? It's not, and I want all this. I still want all this.
Exactly. Now that I'm saying this, I sound like a very selfish person considering our past episode, I would not share my pepperoni bread. So I swear I'm nicer than this.
No, you're fine. Because think about it. If you have two, I hate to say, like two equally great, two, you know, equally important people, and you have to choose.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like you have to choose, because when I gave birth, I had my team with me. I had a team in there.
Right.
So to be able to say like yes to this but no to that person, there is a level of understanding, but you're still gonna be like a little bit hurt because you're like, I
Right.
wanted this and stuff like that. And so, for example, like you're like, let's say someone to have an engagement and a surprise engagement. But I'll use that as an example. And that was the idea. That was the plan for 2020. And no,
Yeah.
it, it's like either they can't. It's no. So it's like okay, or if let's say you have trips, like for you as a relationship, what you guys do, you like to do activities together, so you to keep the relationship strong, whatever it works for you anyway. That hey, we plan two cruises a year. That is
Mhm.
us. It is just me and my significant other. That's it. that is just us. And now, boom, this has occurred. We're thinking about your health at this point. What are we doing now? Like, what is our alternative? Like, this
Mhm.
was us. This is how we maintain our relationship. So where do we go from here?
Right, exactly. You don't really have that vacation, you don't have that getaway. So I feel like all relationships during this pandemic has definitely gotten a hit throughout all levels. I mean, like you mentioned, with, us being single and trying to develop relationships. You had dating apps, but those dating apps didn't really give you what you were looking for. And you were trying to communicate, hey, look at my Snapchat, or hey, let's do a video call, or trying to figure out a way to meet people without being, well, you won't be able to go to gyms. You won't be able to go to these different places. So you're just trying to do what you can. When I'm glad that there's that creative way of doing those games, like those virtual games or virtual dating. But that makes it very hard to continue with relationships. Not only just romantic ones, but also friendship ones or family ones as well.
Right. Uh,
So
I you it's work. I know. I mean, a relationship is all is effort. I'm not gonna say work. Effort.
it's
Okay.
also work.
Yes.
You gotta
I,
want it.
you gotta want it. Yes, you gotta want it. So hey, it's like okay. So and I think with this is definitely getting into like getting it really in there and really with all the distractions, like you mentioned earlier, Kaninja, minusing all these extra distractions of work and work, different events, different things that's going on. You're just like, do I even like you?
Mhm.
Like, yeah, I see you for, however long you see them during the week, but you're like, why you put your shoes over there?
Right.
Why your shoes like
I
why
didn't know you'd chew like that.
ew? Like, why are you putting jelly first before the peanut butter? Like,
That strawberry jam, the strawberry jelly.
what? Like, what is wrong with you? It was like, like you just like I could. So I mean, like, so
Mm.
conflict resolution,
Mhm.
I think plays a even bigger part. Like communicate, however, so like you gotta communicate, communicate. I can communicate all day,
Mm.
but if we're communicating, we're not resolving any issues, right?
Right.
We still have issues. It doesn't matter how much I communicate. I mean, communication is key. Who doesn't say that?
Right.
But
There.
there's that action
Exactly.
worth it. So, Kaninja, we know that you're getting married, so you know this is the person you're going to be with forever and ever and ever. We know that. Boom, we're happy. So, with this is our how is our conflict resolution like? How is that going with you? Uh,
So
mhm,
it's like you said, it's effort, it's work. And when it comes to conflict resolution, you have to want to make it work. So, yes, absolutely. Communication is key, but that follow through is what really resolves it. Because you can communicate, like you just said, you can communicate all day until you're blue in the face. But if that person's going to do it again the next day, then that's not resolving anything.
mhm,
So you have to really make an effort of communicating how you're feeling and what the other person is doing that's making you feel that way. And the other person also has to care enough to make a change. And vice versa, of course. I'm not perfect, even though I like to tell my fiance sometimes, and he shakes his head. But I'm not perfect. So it goes both ways. And that has to be understood too, is that not just one person has issues. Both people can have issues or have off days. This pandemic has made everyone on edge. I mean, if you're just going out and driving, you can just see the people who are driving has gotten way worse. Everyone's on edge. And so having another level of understanding of your significant other that, hey, they're going to be on edge already. And this is what's going on. Let's have some patience. Let's not just go on an attack. Let's have some patience. Let's be open and let's understand each other. So for myself, for my relationship, in the beginning of the pandemic, it was as per usual. But what I've noticed is, around this time, or so, that our communication has been missing, I guess you can say. I wouldn't say we're not communicating. Just how we're communicating is not hitting the target where it used to be. You know how like whenever you're fighting someone or you're arguing with someone or talking to someone,
Mhm.
and 5 minutes down the line, you're like, wait a minute, we've been saying the same thing this entire time. It's kind of like that. And I know I've mentioned, and he has also mentioned that let's really focus on that communication, focus on really saying what we're feeling and what we're needing so that we can in turn follow up with helping fix that or improve that so we're not feeling that way anymore. At the end of the day, relationships, you need to communicate, but underlying all that, trust and respect each other is really key. Trust, respect, that honesty goes with the communication, but that's key. And that's even more key during this pandemic because it is so easy when you're spending almost 24/7 with this person. And let's just say you're in a typical family home where, your husband or, the main breadwinner is usually at
Mhm.
work and the other parent is at home with their kids. Well, during the pandemic, what if the main breadwinner is now working from home or is basically lost their job? Well, now they're home. So now they're spending more
Mhm.
time, but those habits are still there.
Right.
So that main breadwinner is basically saying, "Hey, I'm so used to working. I'm not used to doing these things with these kids."
Mhm.
So the
Yes.
other person is realizing, recognizing, "Hey, you're not doing anything to help me while you're home." And that's some of that conflict, and hopefully they have that trust and respect for each other and that communication to resolve that. But it's hard. It's really hard.
Yeah, it amplifies like certain things that of that person where you were like, I'm okay. It's just to the extreme left because nobody can predict this, right? Like no one could predict what we're dealing with at this time. So everything that you're like, oh, I'm okay, like I'm going with the flow. This is not really a big deal. It's just super uber amplified to like it's in your face.
Yes,
Yes.
exactly. So awesome. We're gonna take a break. When we come back, let's talk more about the more or less the single relationships and the single life, Rissy, if you don't mind, and really getting into other ways of meeting people during the pandemic other than dating apps. And we can talk about other situations that maybe we experienced or that we've heard from others.
Sounds great.
Awesome. All right, we're back. So basically on my break time, I'm just gonna let you guys know right now. When Rissy was talking about the drinks that she had earlier, it got me very jealous. So during break time, I was like, you know what? I want to drink too. So this podcast might get a little funny at one point, depending how long it gets. I made a I had cranberry and vodka, but the vodka is a cranberry flavored vodka.
Oh snap.
Is from the name is Dansk or Danska. It's like Danzka, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I got that from one of the cruises I was on, and girl, it is good. Like I could take a shot of that if I wanted to, but I had that in cranberry juice, so it's super cranberry-ish, and
Oh.
not bad. So I'm pretty happy about it, and I'm already feeling something. So
Awesome. Awesome. Um, after we went on break, because I was drinking too, I know I know we talked about something. And I was like, we're gonna bring it up as soon as we get back on break. Help.
so yeah, so we're definitely we're really going to talk about more or less the single life. We already talked about some dating apps, but dating online and how is it working? I guess Rissy for you. how is it working for you with being within those dating apps and trying to figure out what is the right time to take to the next level, to take to the next step, other than just doing video call or phone call, like actually meeting each other and then taking the next steps after that, if everyone knows what I mean. So,
Nasty.
look, we introduce drinks into this podcast. It is expected at this point.
Right. So, smooth it out. Let's, chill out a little bit, relax, breaking buddies. Uh, to me, it's like, it's a vibe, but it's terrible. I'm using the worst word, and the reason why I say this is because, again, if you physically are around somebody, you can already be like, oh, I can see something, or no, and either you hit them with this is my phone number to here's my Facebook. Like, you're not gonna get that close to me. I'm not gonna give you my number, and so it's like I don't know. I think it's the quality of conversation. As you could tell, I'm a conversationalist. I'm so glad I said it right. It's if I get like a 1 or 2 word situation, even if it's like on the dating app or just texts or phone call, like you're having a conversation, I'm so turned off by it.
Right.
I'm like, okay, no.
Yeah. Well, they're not really, it doesn't show that they're interested.
Right. But then on the flip side, like if you talk to a dude, they'll be like, well, that's all I can say. I'm like, what you mean? How you doing
Next.
today? I'm okay. But that's the same day. I'm gonna give you an example. You found $50 on the floor.
Right.
I had an okay day. It got better when I found $50 on the floor. Like that, boom. I don't know how many words that was, but hey.
It allows you to have more of a conversation saying, hey,
Yeah.
I had an okay day. I just got off work. Oh, how was work? But if you respond saying it was all right.
I'm like, what's all right? Like when I have an all right day at work, it was just terrible, and I'm just glad I get a check. Like, what do you mean all right? Like,
Right. And it makes you feel like you're really fishing for a conversation. It's adding work in the very beginning where it shouldn't be work.
yes, and it's like, okay, that's like, so you're thinking, okay, so what do you want then? Like, what are we looking for? Which is again, it's a layer of difficulty because you're not in person.
Mm-hmm.
Which is also a level of difficulty if you're not living with someone, because I
Mm-hmm.
feel like that gives you another perspective of the person.
Yeah.
If just correct me if I'm wrong, Kaninja. Just like there's a difference between dating that person and then now you're in a situation where you guys are together.
Oh, absolutely. You're absolutely right. You see a whole nother level of the other person. And it's not just personality, it's how they let their hair down, I guess you can say.
Mm-mm.
You know, if your significant other comes in from work and they automatically take off their pants and walk around their underwear, if you're not down with that or if that throws you off, you're like, "Oh no." You know, a shock factor. So,
Oh
to your
whoa.
own. So, but you don't know that until you live with someone. You don't know how they start their morning, until you live with someone. You don't know how they end their day until you live with someone. You don't know if they open up a wrapper, like open up a piece of candy and they leave it on the table instead of throwing it out when the trash can's like 2 feet away until
Uh-oh.
you live with someone.
Uh-oh. 2 feet.
Now, if my fiance is listening to this, he's gonna say that was me that did that. But
I drunk so much. I'm so sorry. I got too smooth for this. So, like, to get back on topic, I'm so sorry. So, to get back on topic,
Mhm.
my situation is more long distance,
Right.
where they're here but they're not here,
Mhm.
and it's like, okay, I don't talk a lot about my personal life in that regards, but it's like they're there, they're not there. It's long distance. So for me, it's the traveling, the time. Sometimes there is an issue with time differences, and we have to be mindful of that.
Right.
And the another layer of it is us being in the pandemic. at first, obviously, before everything and the different restrictions, of course, hang out over there, hang over here, whatever.
Mhm.
Now it's like, okay, I know you went to work and you're good, and I know I went to work and I'm good, and I'm with my family and you're with yours and over there and you're good, but I'm gonna need you to have a mask when you here. Like, how do you slide that in there?
Yeah, especially when people kinda take offense to it.
Right.
Yeah, it's kinda like we talked about in our 2nd episode, some people may take offense to that, and it's just like, "Look, I'm not saying that you have it, but I'm just trying to be safe." So when you talk about long distance, in this perspective, it's like long distance can be down the street still. You're just living in separate houses, right?
Right.
Okay.
Right. Where it's not even it can't even, but then you treat it as like, some
Mhm.
if you are in a situation where you're not living with your significant other and you're in different households, you, with everything considered, are you really gonna risk it knowing that people could be asymptomatic, or that you don't show symptoms until a few days later, or if you're exposed, like things like that, where you come to my house because we're close, obviously. We're close, or I come to you because we're close, and then I get it from you.
Right. Because you don't know what they do throughout the day.
Absolutely. So it goes to my next thing of trust. There's a whole lot of trust going on here, okay?
That should be the name of this podcast, trust.
It's just so it's so much of trust going on, even if it's a romantic relationship or not. It's just so much trust. And for people who are very maybe weary of trusting, you're trusting a lot.
Mhm.
Like I have friends or people who I hang out with who are very, like, weary, like they try to keep to themselves and stuff. But then they I visited without a mask.
Mhm.
Um and it was like, that was trust. Like, you
Right.
trust me.
Right.
Like,
Exactly.
because you're not with me 24/7, right? But you're trusting me that I have done. I'm talking with my hands, by the way. You're trusting me to make sure that I do the necessary precautions
Right. Well,
to
they're
keep.
also trusting you to keep the person that you're visiting with their best interest in mind. So if you are experiencing symptoms, to communicate that or to be like, "Hey, I'm gonna not come over today because I'm not feeling well," and actually being open. It goes back to people who have STDs or STIs.
Yes.
If you know you have it, communicate it to your significant other. Don't let it be a surprise. So
You're laughing, but you would kill some.
I would
you're
kill
like,
someone.
you're like, you said what? Like, you thought you might, but you weren't sure what.
There'd be a full dot 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 right after I find out.
You're like, huh? And I do see that it's. I did see on, like, either Facebook an article or something to that, where like a lot of families, they are doing virtual learning, and that is not everyone's expertise, you know talents, if you will. And so they have reached out to former educators who are willing to do the tutoring for their child, right? And in the midst of all that, they had an understanding. So the parent plus educator had an understanding that, hey, if your household has show any symptoms of any kind, right, and mine as well, we will immediately let each other know. So we are now building trust, because I don't, again, former, we don't have anything prior to the fact that I need help with this, with my current situation with my children. That's it.
Mm.
Come to find out, the educator came to the house and then mentioned to the parent that, hey, um, I'm not feeling well, but came to the house to say that. Couldn't talk
Oh,
about whatever.
that
And
defeats the purpose.
you're like, huh? Because again, educators, students, you're working very closely, right? There's no other. I mean, that's what they're doing anyway. They're working very closely. Come to find out, the educator's significant other was already showing symptoms 2 days prior. to her coming to the home.
Oh.
Yes, yes. And isn't that, and so the trust that you had, you
Mhm.
trust that, hey, this person will be responsible. But again, will that person earn that trust? Because it's just a lot of trusting going on with this, with everything going on. It's a lot
Right.
of trust, and unfortunately, everyone in her household, their household, tested positive and were ill.
Wow.
So I'm like, okay, well, I'm over here. If I want to hang out with someone at whichever, I'm trusting that this person is doing their next, awesome precautions prior to hanging out with me, and I'm doing as well. But you still can't, like, if you're exposed, you're exposed. If I go to work or whichever, if I go to work or store or whatever, and I've been exposed because somebody worked there, whatever, you know how they do the contact tracing. What do you do for, like, it's just, to me, trust
Right.
is
Exactly.
so big. And I feel like the trust in the romantic relationships as well during the pandemic is even more, a lot of trusting.
Definitely. And that kind of brings up a good question. Well, I had a question that I had for you is, when you're doing online dating or you're meeting people, trust does come into play, but does that kind of go through your mind when you're meeting new people saying, should I have them get tested? Should I get tested so they know? And not really tested for the typical tests like the STDs and STIs, but should I get tested for COVID? Should they get tested for COVID before we meet? Especially if it's someone new that you haven't really established that trust with them.
To be honest with you, Kaninja, I feel that's the next step. I feel like it is.
Right, exactly. So I feel like since as things are going, it's very good to have that open conversation and communication with whoever you're about to meet and be like, hey, we need to get tested before we even meet. Not even we need to get tested before we have certain intercourse. We need to have tested before we meet face to face.
Do you have coda? I mean, what was it? Do you have the corona?
Do
Like,
you have the corona?
do you
Do
have
you have
that?
COVID?
Do you have COVID?
Or do you have the Rona?
You have corona? Like, no, I'm good. I'm good. No, 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 no. I'm gonna need you to get tested. And thank goodness. Let me say something. Thank goodness. So Dorox from our talk in reference to COVID explained to us there are other tests than the pain test. I call it the pain test. There's because I promise you, if someone were to come and talk, I mean, obviously the test. Have you been tested? Of course, that takes like what? That's like a prick in your arm, pee in a cup, cool,
Mhm.
whatever. But that all up in it, like it touching your brain, Kaninja, touching your brain. Is it worth it to go have coffee with this dude right now or whoever? Like,
Didn't
oh
Fedoruk say it's not touching your brain? But right, exactly. So you really have to weigh your options
yeah,
of
how
is it worth it?
right. That's one of the preliminaries now. Like how we're like, hey, show me your teeth. Take that mask off. Let me
Let me see the second half of your face.
just a little bit. Take a little bit under your nose. Okay, let me just.
Let me see the bottom of your nose, please. It's important, I promise.
Gotcha. And so it's like, I think so, because I think that's when I walked away from like someplace. I was like, hey, like there's a lot of trust. Even like I don't know you that well or whatever. Like I'm trusting that you have hand sanitizer right now.
Right,
Like I'm trusting that you have hand sanitizer. I'm trusting that you're wearing masks. And not only that, especially with those cloth masks, I'm trusting that you're washing them.
right.
Okay, so I'm trusting all these things that you're doing prior to us. I'm like, no, that's too much trust. I feel like that's how I was feeling at the time. I'm like, this is too much. Like I'm putting myself in a situation I don't want to be in because I can't fact check you. We are in quarantine, staggered schedules. Kids are at home most of the majority of the time. I can't fact check you to make sure that you wash your hands all the time, or you carry hand sanitizer, or you wash your cloth, or you what. I can't.
Right. And that amount of trust, really starts from 0 when you first meet someone, so it's really hard for anyone to expect another person to have that kinda level of trust with someone when you first meet them.
Mhm.
So, that kinda goes into my next question, like, how much harder has that made it for you to meet new people?
Oh yeah, I treated everyone. So I am like I used to be certified in like first aid and stuff. And the number one they said is like treat everyone. You know what I'm about to say, Ninja. Treat everyone. So they have something like contagious.
Right? Like, they all
Um,
have the Rona.
they all have the Rona. So that's how I do it. I'm just like, 'cause to me, I have for exception of the current situation I'm in, I was like, I don't really want to meet anyone new. I don't want to meet anyone new unless I have to. And you're just like, who? Why do you have to? I don't know. I just feel like if I have to.
Mhm.
But right now my circle is like significant. Oh Lord. So this is book. Remember, this is my mix of Bacardi rum and a Tom Collins. Okay. So let's
Significantly.
yes, small. You know, like it's just significantly small. Yes, did it. I think that's where I am. Where I'm just like, I want to meet new, but again, with the dating apps and stuff prior, it was like it depends on how people come off too,
Mhm.
as well. Because the current situation I'm in, I met on a dating app,
Mm.
but they immediately wanted to FaceTime or video chat,
Okay.
and I was like, okay, that's cool.
Mhm.
Just knock it out the park already. I said that's fine. But then, but their approach was a little bit different versus it was like send me a pic, which essentially a video is several pictures,
Yeah,
you
but it sounds more vulgar.
know.
To be honest. Like, "Send me a pic." I was like, "No, let's video chat." Alright.
Okay, I can do that. Like I can do that, and I can do that. Yeah, and it's like their approach. Everyone's approach different because I did speak to a friend about online dating, and same way as you physically first meet someone, it's that representative. You only
Mm.
get a piece. So he made this joke, which I think is hilarious to me. It was a reference to like some women, right? Because everyone's different. Everyone different strokes for different folks. Okay,
Hmm.
so let's keep that in mind. Everyone does things differently. Some people do it on the first night. Some people wait the 90-day rule.
That's
Okay,
true. Mhm.
there's no right way. It's more of what you feel comfortable.
Right.
But he was explaining to me how he likes to message the women that he's interested in who has a long bio that talks about, and if you're trying to F on the first 3 days, don't talk to me. He's like, I like those ones. Because he told me this because they will.
Oh, really?
Lies,
Oh,
you know,
wow.
girl power. If I said this, then it is what it is. He's like, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Okay.
I was like, ouch. I was like, seriously? Because I did put something similar to that
Mhm.
because I'm sorry, I don't care what anyone says. If someone wants to mess first time, like off the gate, talk about what they're gonna do, whatever, there, I feel like you got something. And you
Mhm.
just try to spread it. And I'm
Mhm.
like, no, mm-mm. I said, don't
He's
try.
got the Rona.
You got the round up. Absolutely not. I don't want it. And
Mhm.
what and so he told me that. I said, that's crazy. But he said, but his experience is usually that. I was like, whoa.
Oh, wow.
I was like, oh goodness. So it's like we put up something where it's like our ideal situation. You know,
Mhm.
like my ideal situation is I'm gonna meet a guy who is whatever, car, house, whatever, and that doesn't want to do it on the first night or something. So we're
Right.
putting it out there, kind of our inner thoughts and stuff, and it's either you gonna stick with it or you not.
Yeah,
She said
exactly.
it doesn't work. I was like, really? Like it doesn't work.
But
It's
see,
usually
that's the thing though, like, if you're gonna put something on your bio, something like that, then just stick to it. I mean, just wait one more date. I mean, just stick to it, you know? Because then it goes to what you were saying too, is that when they have that experience over and over and over again, they're not gonna believe it for anybody, and they're actually gonna target those people
Mhm.
because they know that's not true. So, for the person that really is that it is true, this person, and no shade against your friend at all, you know, and this person's gonna go and, hang out with that person with an expectation saying, "Yeah, that's what they said, but that's not what they're gonna do." And this person's like, "No, this is what I'm gonna do." And now there's a huge miscommunication,
Yes.
misexpectation. And
Mhm.
the lady or the person, regardless if it was a man or a woman, you
Mhm.
know, they'll be like, "Well, it was on my bio," and then the other person will be like, "Yeah, it was on 10 other bios too." Help the community out by sticking to your word, please.
Just saying, everyone, whatever bio and stuff like that, because you might get someone up to speed. I get completely like turned off when the bio is super like what they're gonna do to you, to your body, and when they make
Got
out to my body, and and the message they send, I'm just like I'm super turned off. I'm
Mhm.
like I don't. 'Cause again, the advice is some people might be like, oh yeah, that's it. I love it. That's great. I Here's my address. Here's my address. And I'm so
I
like,
want that. Come here at 5 o'clock tonight.
yes, on the corner of third and fifth.
But there's certain apps for that though.
Right, right, right. So,
Use the
I,
apps for what they were for.
yes. So this also leads to Ask the Ladies. Do you want to mention that, Kaninja, about Ask the Ladies?
Yes. So, in our sixth episode, really, so it's going to come out on December 30th. We are going to have a segment called Ask the Ladies. So, if anyone or any guy or even lady who's had a question about the female mind, why we think a certain way, why we do certain things, and so on and so forth, please submit them. You can even submit them on our Facebook page, which is our Break Room Podcast, or our Gmail, which is ourbreakroom@gmail.com. We do have an Instagram, which is our Break Room Podcast 1. And we do also have a Twitter. So on our Facebook page, we do have all of our handles, I guess you could social media handles. You could submit your questions on any one of those. We do monitor them every day. You can ask any other question. An example question, let's just say, why don't women know what they want to eat? Tune into that podcast to figure out why. So
Because we
we know
got you.
exactly why.
Exactly.
So definitely tune into that one. We're going to be able to have a lot of good questions. I've already received some questions from a few people, but definitely send in all the questions that you have, females, males, what have you. Send in your questions that you'd like Rissy and I to answer, to give you some clarification. And females, when you're listening into that, definitely let us know. Are you thinking the same way as we are? Are you not? Is there a different perspective? Because we would love to hear that as well. So definitely thanks for that plug-in right there.
Well, I was about to get going. I was like, hold up, wait, Ask the Ladies.
Yes. So that would be our episode 6. So our episode 5 will be about college, about schooling. We will have a special guest on there as well. He was I believe, a school counselor, guidance counselor. He helped a lot of people out with schooling and kind of know where their paths are. So we are going to be talking about that in our next episode. But definitely, if you have any questions about females, why they do certain things, anything is acceptable. Just, be polite the best that you can. But anything's acceptable. So whatever questions that you guys may have, we are willing to answer the best that we can within the time period that we have.
Absolutely. And Kaninja will be answering the more tougher ones or the controversial ones.
I will answer as much as I can.
She has them. Okay.
So anyway,
I want the yes or no questions. Yes. No.
Rissy will have the hard ones. So at this point, we will do our final thoughts. Again, so it's our 30-second segment that each one of us has to talk about our final thoughts about our topic today, which is relationships within the pandemic. So, Rissy, I will get my phone ready and have you start first.
Okay.
So let's see. Ready, set, go.
So again, this is what's the word called? It's uncharted waters. Okay, unprecedented times. That's what it is. So with it being unprecedented times, everyone who is dating or in a relationship, you are doing a great job. There's no blueprint, there's no anything, no reference of anything. So just try your best to do the best you can. Everything virtual online, there's really nothing wrong at this point, and I hope for everyone to get what they want in 2021, where it's a better mood. That's it.
Awesome. So, basically, for those that are already in a relationship, kind of like what Rissy said, you guys are doing a great job. Just keep it up, keep being patient, keep having that trust, keep communicating, and also remember that you love each other and that this is not forever. Even though 2020 is a mood, like Rissy said, 2021 hopefully will be a better mood. So just keep that in mind. Everyone's going through a lot of different things, but it will get better. All right. Awesome. So with that, let us know if you guys have any other questions or comments on any of our social media. But I think we are done. So, so I'm gonna totally
You're
click that.
fine. We'll see you later. We'll see you
Oh,
later, break room buddies.
bye, break room buddies.
Thank you for spending your break with us. Time to get back to the grind. For some suggestions on what we talk about next time, send us an email at ourbreakroom@gmail.com. See you next time, break room buddies.